Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? So we are going to talk about merging packs today. And of course, some of you guys out there have probably seen some of the merging pack talk that I've told you guys about. You probably know at this point that, Evil Weevil, Totemist, and all them jazzy, wonderful Tempest abilities are pretty darn good, right? But obviously, when it comes to efficiency, I think a lot of the time we always come into this question. And of course, one of the few things that I recommend you guys do, if you haven't already done this, all right, you want to go into your cabinet. And then, well, actually, if anything, if you haven't built these, you want to go to all equipment. And then you're going to go to your accessories. And then you're going to go to filters. And you're going to be looking for, all the way to the bottom probably, for a familiar skill, familiar blah 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 kind of thing, right? This is kind of what you're looking for, is the mystic box. All right, if you haven't forged one of these, start forging them. And to give you an idea, all right, of just how important it is to get a mystic box, all right, is that you basically put on a mystic box, and I can tell you right now, it is 14 hours and 43 minutes with one box. All right, without a box, all right, without a box, we are looking at almost 16 hours. So you save about 2 hours in time with just one mystic box, right? But let's say, okay, what if I had all three mystic boxes gold? Or maybe, let's just say two, right? Say you had two of them at gold. Well, it goes from 14 to 13. So it's a little bit less now. Obviously, we went from 16 to 14, 14 to 13, okay? But even still, that's still pretty darn good, right? Now, what if I add that one last mystic box? All right, obviously, the efficiency here is, it starts to dwindle. Obviously, you go down about an hour, right? And now we're at 12 hours. So now, for those of you that are kind of on the fence with mystic pack gear, here is what happens if, let's say, you get a blighted vial at blue, all right? With a blue vial, it goes from that to this. You barely notice it. A blue vial just barely does anything at all. Okay, so let's say we don't even have a blue vial, right? Let's say, heck, let me give you something that may be a little better of your judgment. Let's say we had a purple ancestral kilt, all right? Say that was the next improvement that you were deciding on, right? Obviously, now we go down a considerable amount. About almost a whole whopping 20, 30 minutes. Obviously, the main key thing here, though, right? This is the thing about the Blighted Ball, is although it is a 4% bonus to skill stones, it doesn't do jack to your packs. Just know that, in case you're wondering. That's why. But ultimately, now let's say you get the Spirit Mantle and you get that to purple. This is 6%, mind you. All right. And this over here is only 13, right? So 13% is a considerable difference from 6. So just to give you some idea of how much of a difference that's going to do. But now with that, it's starting to look a little marginally different. It's still okay, right? It's not bad. But now you get this on, and there's another 14%. So remember, okay, if I was to take that mantle off, do the leggings and the helmet, and the 3 accessories, all right, you're now looking at doing your packs at exactly 11 hours and 24 minutes, in my case, for pack 2A. Now, that is not saying that you are going to get that, because obviously, if you haven't gone through, done the familiar research, and pretty much you need to do your pack merging 2, I believe, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So yeah, you got to make sure you get that. Obviously, it's going to change depending on the pack type, but it's going to be in your research ultimately, right? So assuming that you've done that, okay, what other places can you improve? Well, obviously in the bone staff, all right, there's a little bit. And if you were to see this at gold, all right, 15 is pretty decent, but it still takes a lot of effort to get, all right? And if you were to look at like the base plate, obviously, like, yeah, all right, if you get this thing to gold, it's 10%. So yeah, you'll see it. But again, I want to say the major places where you're definitely going to see improvement is definitely in the kilt, the accessories, and the helmet. That's just my 2 cents. If you are interested in getting into the Mystic merging packs, related gear. Ugh, I can't even think. But anyway, so obviously with that all said and done, right? It's at 11 hours compared to 16. All right, so a 5-hour difference, and even without it, it's almost 14 to 13. When you've got all your mystic boxes all said and done, so you're only making a marginal difference of about 2 hours with the paid gear. Assuming you got it gold, it's probably going to be at max, probably 10 hours difference. Obviously, it becomes a hell of a lot more relevant when you start doing Pack 4 and Pack 3, because that time, although it looks really big here, and then here, and then here, you can see how much of a difference it makes. If let's suppose I was just to take off the pay gear, right? If I take that off, all right, and we just use mystic boxes, for example, all right, it is 20 hours. This is 12. This is 6. All right, remember that was about 5 hours. So it's about an hour. And then only basically an hour. And then basically here, an hour. All right. So for every 10% or so, it's about an hour. Okay. But the moment you start taking these mystic boxes off, all right, you can really see it. I mean, it's a 75% drop. And you'll notice it almost right away. Where now things that were taking an enormous amount of time are now way, 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 way more expensive on the time. So I stress this to you guys a lot, that if you are going to be doing packs, make sure you wear your Mystic Pack accessories. And obviously, if you're interested in the paid gear, this will kind of give you a kind of an impression on how to approach it. But obviously, if you guys are wondering what my merging pack setup is, I'm currently using a 2 spire with the rest all basically springs. Now, yeah, you can do 3 spires. You can just as easily do all springs. There's no wrong or right answer, really, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Now, obviously, back when I had all gems, all right, one of the things that, people were just pointing out from previous videos is that, well, you can make more XP. And what they're trying to get at, all right, is that there is kind of a cap. And I'll show you. So let's say I did auto selection. It's going to grab all of them and it's going to put it up to 52 hours. But here's the thing. In theory, right, if I was to take maybe a handful of these away and just do a day, in theory, right, it's the difference between, like 51 to 52, 53 to 54. But now I could say take a handful of those and say, I don't know, let's say we do Evil Weevil now. And we want to collectivize him. So I'll put, all of that into there and then yada, yada, yada. If you have multiple gems, it makes sense to divide your heroes to conquer more XP on multiple heroes at a time. The problem is that in essence, what you've done, right, is that you've basically split the XP bonuses to 2 familiars rather than 1. Now, in my opinion, when you get to about 55, it is not worth it to do that because it's going to take you an enormous amount of XP to go from 55 to 60. It takes an enormous amount of time. But when you're just trying to get these guys up to like 30 and then 40 and then 50 and then, you're on your way to 60, I think it's totally acceptable to do multiples of these and split it up a little bit, especially when you get near to 60, because at a certain point, there is actually no gain in having extra heroes, because who needs to go all the way to 60? You just need to get to the itty bitty tiny bit to 60, and that's kind of what the grays and golds are for, is just to kind of minimize that amount of effort. Obviously, at 41, right, you're at 52. It makes a world of difference, and again, it's just an efficiency that, although I know some of you guys have been talking about it, it's obviously splitting it up is not going to do you any harm, all right? It's just that if you are trying to focus on that one familiar, especially from 55 to 60, I don't see a reason why you would want to split that, because it's only going to take you longer rather than had you just done all at once into 60, which is what I did with Trickstar, and it's what I did with Jimmy Gremlin, because frankly, it makes more sense to get those guys up to 60 than it is to just sit around and wait, because those abilities are valued a lot more than, say, a handful of the other abilities in comparison. I would say that, having like Totemus to 60, Evil Weevil to 60, I think makes a hell of a lot more sense. And hell, even Goblin to 60 makes a hell of a lot more sense to me right now than having like a majority of these up to 30 or 40. Because at the end of the day, All right, assuming that you have all of the medals and everything, you're still going to have to take an enormous amount of time, and you're still going to have to unlock their abilities. But at the end of the day, if you're wanting to get more gems and more speeds and more everything, it makes more sense to get this ability up to max and get those 3 random holy stars every single day. Because, like I've been telling you guys, it's a huge difference to be getting that kind of gems and that kind of holy stars every freaking 2 days. Like, I can't believe what I see. That's good stuff. All right. Now, sure, you can argue that, maybe it's better to have multiples of different abilities, but it really doesn't make a difference, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, you could probably get this guy, get a max, all right? But in the end, whether it be Terra, Aquarius, whatever, all right, I think there's no harm in trying to do that up until about 50. Now, having that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think in the description, the comment section below. And needless to say, I'll see you guys next time.